Ladies and gents, my name is Calvin, and this vlog is for you if you are like me and you've got a full time job, 9 to 5, 9 to 6, 9 to 8, whatever, and maybe you're sick and tired of it. Maybe you just want to try something new, you want to start a side hustle, you want to have a second line of income so that you're not as reliant on your job. Maybe you just want to make more money. So that was me about 2 years ago, which is actually not 2 years, maybe a year and a half, which is when I first started the agency that I'm running right now called Primo Jobs. We so it's been it I started around April of 2023 with I invested maybe about $500 initially into ads to get new clients, and I pretty much started with zero. I was working a full-time job. It was an online job, but it was a full-time job until June of last year. So I practically started my agency a couple of months before quitting my job. I'd work overtime. I mean, I'd work after hours on my agency. I'd work on the weekends. Any spare time I had, I'd pretty much put it into the agency so that I had a little bit of a runway going into the phase that the phase of entrepreneurship that I knew was coming up. So about 3-4 months before I quit my job, I actually decided that I want to start an agency of my own. I want to do something that would give me a little bit more freedom in terms of time, but also would allow me to make more money. Because in the job that I was at that point of time, this was April, May of 2023, I was making about $2,300 a month on average. And I really had this goal of making about $10,000 a month in personal income, which still is a goal, but I was I'm way closer to it now than I was then. But anyway, I wanted to quit my job and start something of my own because I spoke to my boss. I told him, look, this is my goal. I want to be making $10,000 a month. And he was pretty honest with me. He was like, if you're working a job, it's pretty much, you're not going to be able to do it at least for the next 10 years, depending on what kind of job you're doing. And in the role that I was in, I really didn't have high hopes of getting a job that would pay me $10,000 a month because I live here in Mumbai. I'm doing an online job. No one really knows me. There's no brand, anything of that sort. So I figured that starting an agency would be the easiest, not really the easiest, but starting an agency was the only way that I could do it at that point of time. So, I started with about $500. I put it into ads to get my first few clients, and then fast forward to today, the agency has done about $200,000 in revenue so far, and this year we are on track to do about $160,000. So, and that's revenue, of course. Bottom line after cost of goods sold, salaries, taxes, stuff like that. But $160,000 in revenue so far for the year. So I thought that I'd share my journey. I'd come on here and share my journey because a lot of people like me who are living in India, who have a full-time job. Maybe you're a video editor, maybe you're a graphic designer, maybe you have whatever it may be. Maybe you're on calls working at a BPO, which is where I started my career, to be honest. That was back in 2012, I'd like to say, yeah. So whether you're on a BPO, whether whatever you may be doing, and if maybe you're sick and tired of it, maybe you enjoy your job but you want to make more money, whatever it is, this is going to be the vlog for you. I'm going to make a few videos over the next, I don't know, however long I'm able to stay consistent with this, because that's definitely been a challenge, keeping that consistency. But yeah, I'm gonna turn this vlog into a resource that someone like you can use, someone who was in the position that I was in a couple of years ago, and share my journey, share how it's been going, what I did to get my first few clients, what I continue to do over the last year and a half to keep those clients, because I have a few clients that have been working with me since May of 2023, almost a year and a half. So what I've done to maintain that retention, what I'm also going to share the mistakes that I made, because I have made a lot of mistakes. I have invested a lot of money into distractions, and I lost focus quite a few times from what my main target was and what was actually making the money. So I'm going to share those experiences, those mistakes that I made, and I'm also going to share what I'm doing to kind of take this company to the next level, because I have a target for the next 3 years of the company doing $1 million a year in revenue, and if I want to do that, I've realized just recently that I'm not going to be able to do that with the skills I have right now. I need to build some more skills. I need to build a better team. I need to do better for myself so that my team can do better as well. So I've identified a few of my weaknesses that I'm going to be working on going into 2025, so that I can actually hit that $1 million mark in the next 3 years. That's a lot of information. So with that being said, I know I should give you some value with this video, sort of like a call to action, something that you can actually do to get started in this journey. So I would actually recommend what would I recommend? Let's say I was giving myself advice 5 years ago. What would I say? Look, there's so much information right now that the only logical first step for you is to do a little bit of research to see what avenues are open to you, what areas you can explore. So YouTube is the number one place for that. There are quite a few areas depending on what your skills are. If you a very simple example is, if you work as a video editor, let's say you're working for a company, you've got a full-time video editing job. I don't know what's the average salary for a video editor, maybe like 70 to 80K a month. You can, and hopefully you're working Monday to Friday and you have the weekends off. So what you could do is, the first thing you could do is you could get 1 or 2 extra clients who you'd work for on Saturday and Sunday over the weekend, and you could easily charge them about $500 to $1,000 a month each, and then you could, depending on your skills, of course, and you could, have an extra. I mean, you could pretty much double your income with your weekend work even if you just have 2 clients. So, just an example, you could apply that to anything. You could apply that to graphic designing, content creation, social media ads, bookkeeping, accounting, pretty much anything that you could, any skill that you have could be turned into a side hustle right now. So you just got to figure that out first, and that would be step 1 pretty much. Figure out what are you good at, what are people willing to pay you for, what are companies going to be able to pay you for, what kind of problems you're going to be able to solve. Let me tell you about what problems I solved and how I actually went about doing it. Maybe that might give you a little bit of inspiration. So when I started my this online journey about 5 years ago, I started with where did I start from? I started with my agency, to be honest with you. Yeah, I did. I started with my agency back then. Okay, I remember now. So when I started, and yeah, this was about 4 or 5 years ago, the first thing I did was I learned how to run Facebook ads, because at the time I had done content writing, I had done public relations, I had done a little bit of um, content marketing, but I really didn't have any idea what advertising was, Facebook ads, social media, all of that. And it was, yeah. So the first thing I did was I did a course. It was a free course on YouTube that taught me how to run Facebook ads. From there, I continued learning, but I also decided that I'm going to try and get my first client. So I started sending out emails to gyms, because I thought, gym, fairly straightforward, get people coming into the gym. So I started working with gyms, and I started emailing gyms and saying, hey, look, if you need help with marketing, let me just check to see if it's still recording. Yeah. So I started emailing gyms, and I was like, hey, look, if you think that you need help with your marketing, just let me know. I'm willing to work for free for a month to show you what I can do. And yeah, I just sent out that email, because doing work for free is the easiest way to actually get a foot in the door. So yeah, I got one client, one business that was a gym, and I worked for a month for free. I did quite a few different things. I did some email marketing to her customer list. I ran ads for boot camps that she was doing, all of that stuff. And that was just pre-COVID, pretty much early, COVID starting, ending, sort of that stuff. I don't remember exactly when. It was around 2019 or so, I think. 2019, the end of 2019. So yeah, I worked with her for a couple of months. The first month was free. She continued to pay me for another 2 months. And then COVID hit, so she had to shut down her gym and all of that. And then we stopped working over there. And I was like, yeah, I lost the first client that I actually got. So, and while I was working for her, I completely stopped prospecting, which was another mistake. I should have continued to reach out to more companies, but I didn't. And I lost her, and that's when I started reaching out to other online fitness trainers. I thought, okay, since COVID has hit, maybe I can switch to online training. Got a client for online training again, worked for free for a month. Didn't get any results because it was online training, and I really didn't know much about what I was doing. So yeah, I lost that client, and then I was like, fuck, now what? So I came across this guy called Jeff Miller. I was in his free Facebook group. I paid him about $6,000 to join his program. I didn't have the money, so I swiped credit cards. I took out a loan, all of that stuff, and that was a huge fucking stress because there was so much of interest accumulating on that loan. But anyway, I paid $6,000, got into the course, started running ads again for dentists, which is the niche that he was in as well. So then I got into working with dentists, all on fours, implants. That was the service. Again, Facebook ads. So we'd run Facebook ads, get them leads, get the leads to book an appointment with the office, get the lead into an examination. We'd say it's a free examination, a free consultation, and from there, yeah, it's up to the dentist to actually close the lead and get them, turn them to paying customers. So I did that. I got about 1, 2, 3, 4. I worked with 4 companies over a period of, say, around 6 months. And yeah, I mean, we got some results, nothing amazing. Lost most of those clients in about 2 months, a month, 2 months, and then, they'd leave because I wasn't able to get them consistent results. And that was super, super disappointing. Yeah, it hit my self-esteem, morale, all of that fun stuff. And yeah, I was like, fuck, man, maybe this is not for me. Maybe I'm not the agency owner kind of guy. So I quit. I mean, I took a break. I went to the south of India, lived there, volunteered at this surf school and learned surfing at the same time. And while I was there, I mean, long story short, I um, tried doing marketing for quite a few different companies, didn't work out, and then I was following this guy called Adam Chambers. He was an agency owner at the time, doing about $10,000 to $15,000 a month in revenue. This was back in 2021, I think, and yeah, he had an opening for somebody to run his Facebook ads, and I had some experience with Facebook ads because I'd ran this agency for 6 months, and you learn quite a bit in 6 months. So I reached out to him and gave an interview, sent a video recording of my skills, stuff like that. And unfortunately, I didn't get the job, but I was a little more determined, and so I kept in touch with him. And then he'd occasionally have work that he wanted to, just some freelance work that he needed to get done. And since I could handle it, he'd send the work over to me. He hired another media buyer in the meantime, somebody to run his Facebook ads. So yeah, I did good work for him. I did some good freelance work, and then the guy who he hired didn't work out, so he decided to offer me the job. I was super ecstatic. I started with part-time, working 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. Moved on to working 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. Then I worked 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. All this happened over a period of 6 months. Then got another 1 year contract. Got another 1 year contract. All the while I kept getting pay hikes that were pretty amazing. Like I also ended up getting a bonus of a percentage of the cash collected. So so eventually I turned that into a source of income that was making me about $2,000 to $2,500 a month. And that's when I got into the mindset of really having something of my own. While I was at the job, I learned, I think one of the biggest skills that I learned was problem solving. So I learned how to actually stay determined and find solutions, think of ways that you can overcome a problem that comes up with your business. And so yeah, that was pretty much my journey until I could get to the point where I started this agency again, Primer Jobs, last year in April. So that would give you an idea of how challenging it's been, but also the learning journey involved, and give you, I mean, you've got to face reality, man. It's not a slow journey. I mean, it's not a fast journey. It's not something that that's gonna happen in a year. It may, if you work really really hard. I've taken it easy. I've not done the difficult things which I should have done, but I pushed forward, including including recording this video and starting this vlog. But yeah, now I've decided that I'm going to do the tough things. I'm going to start recording these videos. I'm going to start doing cold calls, and let's see how it goes. I'm going to document this journey from, I wanted to do it from zero, but I was like, hey, who the fuck is going to want to listen to me? I'm not doing any revenue. I wanted to start at 10K, but then I was like, no, I don't think I know enough. Who's going to want to listen to me? And now we're doing about 20K a month consistently for the last 3-4 months. So I decided, look, now is the time that I need to kind of get out there, get out of my comfort zone, share the knowledge that I have, and just pay it forward. Help somebody else who may want to get out of the 9 to 5 job, traveling 4 hours a day, working 9 hours a day. 13 hours of your day is just gone into building someone else's dream, building someone else's company, when you could have probably put those 13 hours into the skills that you already have to maybe double or triple your income in a couple of years. So yeah, that's about it for this one. It's a 20-minute video. I know I rambled a lot, but final call to actions are research, make a list of the skills that you have, think about what companies are willing to pay you for those skills, and then start reaching out to companies that you want to work with on freelance basis. Work for free for as long as you can afford to, and you're going to make it. That's about it. Hasta la vista.